Mohonk Mountain House is the perfect place to disconnect from the everyday and reconnect with a loved one. Rekindle your love with awe-inspiring sunsets, rowboat rides across the lake, or a couples massage. Archery, boating, lake swimming, guided nature hikes, wellness classes, farm-to-table cuisine, and so much more. All included in your stay. Find out why Mohonk Mountain House was voted the #1 resort. Book your stay before July 1st and save. Mohonk.com.
This is OTR-FM, part of the IOM radio network.
Industry, the mortgage specialist proudly offers some of the lowest rates available. When you work with an expert from the mortgage specialist, you can rest assured knowing that you are working with someone who truly cares about you. Are you unsure about which loan option is right for you? By giving the mortgage specialists a call today, they would be more than happy to schedule either an in-home or in-branch consultation. They will get to know you and your finances to learn more about how they can help you with your loan option that is best for you and your situation. To learn more or schedule your first consultation, contact the mortgage specialist today at 877-411-0123. That's 877-411-0123, themortgagespecialists.com.
IPMNation.com.
Everybody, it's that time again. Welcome. It's Matt Connarton Unleashed. We're live. It's a Tuesday night. Beautiful night here in Manchester, New Hampshire. It is quite well, I wouldn't say it's cooling off now, but listen to me, I'm doing the weather as though this isn't a national show. No, but I do love this weather, and I know that we have a lot of listeners in the Manchester, New Hampshire area, so forgive me. But, of course, we are live on IPM Nation 2, streaming worldwide. And, of course, Tuesday and Thursday nights, we also have the honor and privilege of being carried on OTR-FM, the premium channel on the IOM radio network. Of course, we do broadcast from the Uptown Auto Repair Studio in Manchester, New Hampshire. And we are powered by Ambit Energy. If you want to learn how to save on your energy bills, go to ipmnation.ambitrabbit.com. You'll be very glad that you did. And, of course, we are sponsored proudly by the Mortgage Specialists. If you need help with buying a home, themortgagespecialists.com. And you can check out that site and schedule a consultation with those very good folks. And, of course, we do have a phone line open tonight if you would like to call in and talk about anything you want. We keep it loose around here. 617-917-4IPM. It's IPM as an IPM Nation. 617-917-4476 for the alphanumerically challenged. You can call us. You can text us. You can also enter the chat room at any time at ipmnation.com/live2. Click the chat. You can also leave comments on that page. And of course, you can Facebook us, Matt Connarton Unleashed. You can tweet me anytime at Matt Connarton. So lots of ways to get in touch. If you are listening live on Tuesday night, or if you're listening to the podcast, say, Wednesday morning, I will be live first at 1 p.m. Eastern on IPM Nation TV. I'll be on Ward 13 with John Hopwood, as I am most weeks. Basically, John invites me on anytime he's not doing a sports show. If he's talking about baseball or something, it's best to leave me out of that conversation. But if he's doing political things, he likes having me there. So I will be there at 1 p.m. Eastern. I know Bonnie Wright, a guest who's been on quite a number of times, she'll be returning to the show tomorrow as well to update us on the GMO situation. And then, of course, immediately after that at 2 p.m. Eastern is Matt Connarton Unleashed, the television edition, every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern. And we'll see if I can harangue John into sticking around for that. He had to bail last time. I had a great guest, but John had somewhere to be. So hopefully tomorrow we can get him to stick around, and we'll see if we can get Bonnie to stick around, and we'll just have a good time like we always do. So of course, if you don't get to watch these live, because some people have silly things to do, like go to school or go to work during the day, We do have replays now, Ward 13 replays at 10 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday night, and then Unleashed replays at 11 p.m. And, of course, we replay the audio from Wednesday's show in this very slot on IPM Nation 2, so you can watch and or listen. And we do get both shows up on YouTube, usually by about 9 p.m. Eastern, so you can view them at your leisure. Let's see. This just handed me. Yes, one of our hosts. This is you might have seen the post on Facebook, but Jen was just reminding me. Brian Brody, who currently hosts the #1 show on IPM Nation, All Natural Being with Brian Brody, which you can hear Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. Eastern on IPM Nation 1, and then there's a replay at 11 a.m. on IPM Nation 2. And, of course, you can access the show's archives, and it's up on iTunes and whatnot. But Brian was this morning on WGN out of Chicago, which can be seen on cable systems worldwide, or nationwide, rather. Probably not worldwide, but nationwide. And that was very cool. He does a lot of television, actually. Although it's funny, we were talking about, I don't think he'll mind if I reveal this. Excuse me as I pick something up. I just dropped a flash drive on the floor. I'm always dropping things and knocking things over because I'm very much a klutz. And, there's no reason in the world I couldn't have just left the flash drive on the floor until the break and picked it up. But I think I have a tiny bit of OCD when it comes to that. When I drop something, I really want to pick it up immediately, regardless of how inconvenient or inopportune that particular moment may be. So I felt compelled. I almost couldn't even resist pulling away from the microphone and interrupting myself to pick up the fallen flash drive. So Brian was on there. Brian does a lot of television appearances. He goes on like Fox and Friends and WGN. And we were talking today, and what he really loves most, and I think he was being sincere because it was a conversation between him and I on the phone. It's not like he was saying this on the air for the benefit of the listeners or something, but he told me what he really loves the most and what he's most enthusiastic and excited about is the show.
It's about time they
fixed that pothole,
invented better windshield wipers,
made an internet that just works. Fidium Fiber Internet, starting at only $30 a month. It feels like Fidium. Offer available to residential customers only. Terms and conditions apply. See Fidium.com for details.
With an individual vision plan from VSPDirect.com, you'll start saving an average of $350 or more each year on eye exams, frames, and lens enhancements. Visit VSPDirect.com and you'll agree, vision coverage has never looked this good. Enroll and save today.
Is doing his radio show, All Natural Being. And he says he wakes up every morning before his alarm even goes off, and he gets up damn early because he's on at 7 a.m., which is actually 6 a.m. where he is, because he's in Aurora, Illinois, home of Wayne's World, by the way. So where he is, he's in the Central Time Zone, so he's up really damn early. I don't even hear his show live most mornings because I tend to stay up very late, and so I wake up a little bit later. But lately, that's what my natural biorhythms seem to dictate. That's when I'm most productive, is very late at night. So I'm very much the opposite. Brian is an early riser. But yeah, so we got some national attention for the network, for IPM Nation today, because of Brian going on WGN. So very happy about that. And lots of exciting things going on. Let's see. Really quick. So we have another show on IPM Nation called The Rob and Slim Show. They're live on Wednesdays, beginning. They do a long show, 5:30 to 10, once a week on Wednesdays on IPM Nation 2. They had a guest recently named Michael Nemeth, who presents himself as an author. Turns out he's a thief and just plagiarizes everything, and they found this out about him. We actually had a listener complain to us, too, about it, and we're like, well, we don't control the guests. Rob and Slim, they do their own thing. But so they spent the following week's show just mercilessly making fun of this guy, Michael Nemeth, because it turns out he's a fraud. And their whole interview with him was based on fabrications and lies. So I found something really funny. This was from the show. Sometimes on SoundCloud, they always post the full show, but sometimes too they'll post specific bits from the show separately. So if you just want to access those, and this is something I'm going to play for you now because it's funny. Even if you don't know the situation, it's still pretty funny. The Jan Michael Nemeth 17 movie trailer. This is great. I thought this was pretty good. So this is courtesy of Rob and Slim. I didn't tell them I was going to play this tonight. I'm just gonna do it. Take a listen.
This preview is rated JMN for Jan Michael Nemeth.
In a world where stealing is commonplace, Jan Michael Nemeth has stolen everything under the sun, and this summer he's stealing that too in Jan Michael Nemeth 17. The 17th installment, written and directed by Jan Michael Nemeth. Well, maybe not written by. Go see JMN 17 and don't take your wife or kids with you, he'll steal them too. He don't care, baby. He's Jan Michael Nemeth. Watch him steal the big screen and steal your hearts and souls and use them to thwart off the mighty Gorgatron like no one else has ever thwarted ever before. Watch Jan Michael Nemeth as he busts 5 innocent men charged with the highest war crimes imaginable out of prison and save 50 inner city schools with them. He's created the best pieces of the 21st century. Let him take you into the 22nd by giving up life and 3 major credit cards to Jan Michael Nemeth. And on the 7th day, God said, get ready to Nemeth down on your Jan Michael this summer in theaters everywhere.
That does sound like an exciting film. Jan Michael Nemeth 17. I'm gonna go see it. So that was courtesy of the Rob and Slim show. They handled it with humor, being lied to and defrauded on their own program. No, but seriously, we had a Facebook message from a listener who said, "Hey, there was a guest on one of your shows. I didn't catch which one, but the guy's a fraud, and he didn't really write any of the books he claims to have written and whatnot." And Jen and I both were like, well, we don't know. We can't possibly monitor all the shows. And do you have any idea what show it was? And then completely by accident, just while listening to Rob and Slim, I found out it was the Rob and Slim show because they found out that Michael Nemeth was a fraud. And so, like I said, they just spent a lot of time making fun of him, and they came up with that movie trailer. So they handled it well. We'll be right back. More Unleashed coming up. Don't go anywhere.
The Real Conscious Connection. Om Times Radio. IOM FM. Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. Om Times Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single Om Times endeavor. Host your show with Om Times Radio Network.
This is Terry Van Horn, and I want to invite you to join me for my weekly radio show, Hailing Light, on Om Times Radio every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. On Hailing Light, we want to bring love, light, and blessings into your world. You can find out more about us at www.healinglightonline.com. Blessings.
Want to be a better communicator? Do you want to better connect with the important people in your life? Do you want to enrich your relationships? If so, join me, Matthew Cooper, on the Positive Control System Show every Wednesday evening at 11 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Om Times Radio. I'll meet you there.
Are you trying to get from point A to point B and need a little advice? Connect with the counselors at Om Times Advisors. Whether you're looking for a life coach or a spiritual intuitive, the advisors participating at advisors.omtimes.com were carefully chosen based on their gifts, skills, and professionalism. Om Times Advisors, connecting you with the best advisors in the business.
IPMNation.com.
With an individual vision plan from VSPDirect.com, you'll start saving an average of $350 or more each year on eye exams, frames, and lens enhancements. Visit VSPDirect.com and you'll agree, vision coverage has never looked this good. Enroll and save today.
Welcome back, everybody. Matt Connarton Unleashed. We're live on IPM Nation 2 and OTR FM. You can hear Unleashed 5 nights a week, Monday through Friday at 11 p.m. Eastern on IPM Nation 2. One of the 3 live channels on the IPM Nation live station. And, of course, Tuesdays and Thursday nights, you can also hear us on OTR FM, the premium channel on the Om Times Radio Network. And as far as I know, to my knowledge, still the only political program on OTR FM. I know that Positive Control Systems with Matthew Cooper, he was a guest on the show a long time ago. I should have him back on. He's an interesting guy. I know that he gets into politics a little bit, but I don't think it's the main focus. And we don't always stick to that either on this show, but it is kind of the main focus of this show. My friends, I was online preparing for the show tonight, and I ran across something, and I have terrible news. Very, very important that I share this with you. Yeah, some of you already know what's coming. You know this bit. I was looking at my favorite website, rightwingwatch.org, which obviously any thinking person with a powerful intellect such as my own, gets all their information from a site like this. And, I talked about last week on the show an article that I had found on rightwingwatch.org that had me very deeply concerned that where these folks were speaking about these good God-fearing Christians, of course, so they're telling the truth. They were speaking about how Target's transgender bathroom policy was going to lead to Armageddon. And needless to say, I was alarmed. I'm sort of a non-Armageddon type of guy. I'm what you might call anti-Armageddon. I got things to do, and if there's Armageddon, that's going to really mess up my week. So I would like to avoid that. So I was very upset and alarmed by this. Now, so far, Armageddon hasn't happened, and that story was, I think it was either last week or the week before. So perhaps they were wrong. But then I find out, even if they were wrong about the Armageddon, a grave threat still looms. Because according to rightwingwatch.org, just today, this afternoon, on his television program, Pat Robertson said that homosexuality will destroy America. Now, I haven't listened to this audio yet, so I don't know in what way homosexuality will destroy America, but obviously homosexuality makes God very angry with us. So it's only a matter of time before God goes ahead and causes a global thermonuclear Armageddon, or perhaps he'll go Old Testament and send a plague, or perhaps some locusts, or something of that nature. Old Testament God was kind of a dick, quite frankly. I prefer New Testament God. Seemed a lot more chill. Perhaps fatherhood kind of mellowed him out. But I know that a guy like Pat Robertson probably prefers the Old Testament God. What with all the wrath and pestilence. So this is concerning to me. I mean, think about this. All of you who, perhaps you have the token gay friend that you hang out with on occasion just to prove how hip and accepting you are. That token gay friend is going to help destroy America and will seal the doom of us all. So think about that. Next time you go to hang out with Chad or Todd, those seem like gay names to me, or Bruce, known a lot of gay guys named Bruce. Not to stereotype. Those just seem like gay names. Just keep in mind the danger that this person presents existentially. Let's see. Let's examine this a little bit further. I guess we'll probably go ahead and play this audio. Of course, this is Pat Robertson speaking on the 700 Club, which has been around forever. I swear to God, I seem to, no pun intended, I seem to remember being a little kid and seeing the 700 Club pop up on the television screen on a Sunday morning. Let's see what Uncle Pat has to say.
You know, the truth is, from what we understand in history, there hasn't been one nation in the history of the world that has openly embraced homosexual lifestyle and begun to practice the homosexual lifestyle that has endured. Every one of them has gone down, every single one of them. Once rampant homosexuality takes place, then people don't take care of their children. They aren't concerned about the next generation. They're concerned about physical pleasure and the activities surrounding this lifestyle, and they aren't planning for the future, and the country goes to pot. Right now, it's kind of in the balance. It's kind of interesting. But the fact that the European Union and the U.S. are trying to impose this lifestyle on a little country like Georgia that wants to stay orthodox it's incredible.
They're going to turn us all gay.
You know, you look at the book of Revelation, and it says, mystery, mother of harlots. You have made the world drunk with the wine of your fornication. And, you say, well, who is that mystery woman? Well, more and more, this great nation of ours, the U.S. of A., is becoming to take on that role. I don't know if we intend to, but that's what's happening. We're making the nations drunk with the wine of our fornication. And God brings judgment on a country that does that.
Oh, my goodness, yes. Well, the good news about that, though, is, wine is good for your heart. So perhaps through drinking the wine of fornication or whatever the hell he just said will lower the rates of heart disease in the U.S., but I suppose it doesn't matter because we will be destroyed ultimately in some other way. Because, by the way, this was not a stereotype of gays that I was aware of until Pat Robertson said, I didn't know that gay people don't plan for the future. I had no idea. And they don't take care of themselves, apparently. Which, that strikes me as odd because, to me, I mean, most of my gay friends typically are very well-groomed and very clean people. I think they do plan for the future. One of my gay friends, I'm pretty sure, has a 401k. So, so I don't know. I think Pat might be overreacting a bit there. But there is that fornicated wine or whatever. We have to be very concerned about that. Always funny to me too how hung up these hardcore Christians get about sex, and I hate to tell you if there's any Christians listening to this show who think that lust is a sin and whatnot and sex is bad and whatnot. Lust ultimately, if you break it down biologically and scientifically, and I know that some Christians will have already turned the show off when they heard me mention science because they think some think that science is like some sort of sorcery. But if you really break it down biologically, all lust really is, from a purely biological standpoint, is the urge to procreate. So if you think it's a terrible, sinful thing, I hate to tell you, but if it weren't for lust, none of us would be here. Every single one of us, and I know nobody likes to think of it this way, and it's kind of weird, and it gives some people the willies to think about it, and I don't particularly want to think about it either, but it is a fact that every single one of us, the only reason we're here, the only reason we exist is because at some point, mommy and daddy decided to get it on. That's how all of us got here. And I know some people like to think, well, no, I'm here because God made me. No. God did not make you. Your mommy and daddy made you. And they had to do something very, very dirty to do it. So, you know, I guess some people just think that, you know, this is what happens when you believe that everyone should have the same rights and be treated like human beings and with respect and whatnot. That somehow, that principle is going to lead to the fall of civilization. The only way to really please God is to do exactly the opposite of what Christ said. In other words, you have to condemn people and ostracize them and make judgment and whatnot and whatnot. You know, all the things that Christ said don't do. That's why I always say there's no such thing as Christianity, because there are no Christians, because Christians insist on doing in many cases the exact opposite of what Christ said. So I don't know. I don't want to get too far down that path again. But anyway, we're almost up against another break. When we come back, we'll talk about, though, the big political news today, the West Virginia primary. Trump, of course, handily winning West Virginia, and Bernie Sanders also winning West Virginia. Not that it's going to matter. Hillary will still be the nominee, but he looks like he might sweep the entire month of May as far as these primaries. He has no chance of catching up, but I'm also going to surprise some of you with something. There's a specific reason, because Hillary was originally expected to win West Virginia, and Bernie wasn't expected to have much of a chance. There is a very specific reason, probably, why Hillary lost, why the reversal of fortune for her in West Virginia. But the surprising thing is, when we come back, and we'll delve into this a little bit, I actually have some sympathy for Hillary in this instance, even though I like Bernie much better. Not that I'm a Bernie supporter. I just like him. I just like him better than Hillary for various reasons, because I don't like Hillary at all. And even though I would never vote for either of them, and even though I don't like Hillary Clinton, in this particular instance, I have some sympathy for her, because the reason that she lost West Virginia, I think she was done wrong and treated unfairly in the media. And I will explain what I mean by that, because no matter how much I may dislike a candidate and not support them, it bugs me. It bugs me a lot when I see anybody's words being taken brazenly and blatantly out of context. It really irritates me when it happens to anyone. And that's what happened to Hillary Clinton in this case. I will explain when we come back. More Unleashed coming up.
The Real Conscious Connection. Om Times Radio. IOM FM. Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of Om Times Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of Om Times. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
Hello, I'm Miriam Knight of New Consciousness Review, inviting you to my new show where I interview the rising stars of the conscious awakening. We'll explore the many faces of consciousness in action and intriguing perspectives on life, the universe, and everything in between. Join us each Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern on the Rising Stars Show.
Join Elliot Jollish, the business therapist, each Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern for the Elliot Jollish Hour, as he interviews business experts on your behalf. And you're invited to email your business questions to questions@ecjgroup.com for answers, live, on air every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern on the Elliot Jollish Hour. Have you ever wondered how to change your love paradigm? The secret key is finding a love partnership, not just a regular connection. How do you find these? Through conscious relationships. Ascending Hearts Dating is a dating site for people like you that believes in second chances and a different type of spiritual connection. Try Ascending Hearts for free today at ascendinghearts.com and change your love paradigm. Ascending Hearts, the premier dating community for the spiritually awake.
Welcome back, everybody. Matt Connarton Unleashed. We're live tonight on IPM Nation 2 and OTR FM. If you'd like to join us, you can. 617-917-4IPM. Going into the break, I was talking about Hillary's big loss to Bernie in West Virginia and how I actually have some sympathy for her. Perhaps sympathy for the devil, as Mick Jagger might say. And again, look, let me explain in case you're joining us late. I'm not a Hillary Clinton supporter. I don't like her. I don't trust her. There's a lot about her that bothers me. But I don't like when the media or someone's political opponents take something that they've said, something that a candidate has said, and twist it into something it's not. We saw this a lot in the 2012 campaign when it got down to the general election. I could probably rattle off the top of my head an entire litany of examples of where both Mitt Romney and Barack Obama said things that were taken wildly out of context and used against them unfairly. And I think it's dishonest when I see that. And so it really bothers me. You know, if somebody's going to lose, I want them to lose on the merits. I want them to lose because of their policies. Or if they just happen to be a bad person, I want them to lose because of that. And the voters say, no. I don't want them to lose because something they said, because somebody took a soundbite of something they said and made it sound very different from what they were actually trying to say, just by extracting certain verbiage. I'll give you an example from 2012. This was, President Obama was speaking at some conference or something about trade. And he said something about, in the past few years, the United States, in terms of trade with other countries and whatnot, we've gotten a little lazy. Well, of course, Republicans seized on that. In fact, Rick Perry, who was running for president at the time, I remember he made I remember this vividly. He made a campaign ad where he said, Obama says Americans are lazy. That's pathetic. And then if you go and watch the entire clip of what he said and actually listen to the sentences he spoke immediately before and immediately after that part, you realize what he was actually talking about. He wasn't calling Americans lazy. That would be an incredibly reckless and politically tone-deaf thing for a president to say. He was talking about the American government. And in the larger context, he was talking about how he felt that the American government over the past several years had become lazy about in terms of trade policy and actually advocating for America's interests, business interests, when dealing with other nations and abroad. That's what he was really talking about. He wasn't calling Americans lazy. He was saying the government had been lazy in terms of trade and advancing America's business interests in the world. So that kind of stuff drives me nuts. So here's what happened to Hillary. So again, Hillary was expected to probably win West Virginia, because I think she did win West Virginia in 2008 when she was trying to keep the nomination away from Obama. Here's what happened. So many of you probably heard the soundbite, and you probably heard her say, let's see, here was the soundbite, and her, and she was kind of yelling. You know how she has that kind of, it's annoying actually, that shrill sort of yelling thing that she does, because I think she wants to be exciting like Bernie is. I don't have the sound clip queued up, but this is what she said. Because we're going to put a lot of coal miners and coal companies out of business, right? Now, West Virginia, that's part of what would be considered coal country. You got a lot of coal miners there. That's how they make their living. So this soundbite starts circulating, and of course it turned everybody against her in that part of the country. Why is she talking about why does she sound so excited about putting us all out of work? These coal miners are thinking, right? And in fact, it led to moments. I'm looking at this this article on PolitiFact. In context, Hillary Clinton's comments about coal jobs. And it led to these moments at campaign stops where, for example, on May 2nd, an unemployed coal worker asks her at one of these forums, how could you say you are going to put a lot of coal miners out of jobs and then come in here and tell us how you're going to be our friend? And then Clinton said this. She responded with, I don't know how to explain it other than what I said was totally out of context for what I meant, because I've been talking about helping coal country for a long time. It was a misstatement, because what I was saying is the way things are going now, they will continue to lose jobs. It didn't mean that we were going to do it. What I said is that is going to happen unless we take action to help and prevent it, unquote. What I would have said is I would have been far more direct. I would have said, the media has misled you by taking a soundbite completely out of context, and here's what I actually said. So what did she actually say? Let's see. Here are the full remarks. This is what she said. Look, we have serious economic problems in many parts of the country, and Roland is absolutely right. Instead of dividing people the way Donald Trump does, let's reunite around policies that will bring jobs and opportunities to all these undeserved poor communities. So, for example, I'm the only candidate who has a policy about how to bring economic opportunity using clean, renewable energy as the key into coal country, because we're going to put a lot of coal miners and coal companies out of business, right? And we're going to make it clear that we don't want to forget those people. Those people labored in those mines for generations, losing their health, often losing their lives to turn on our lights and power our factories. Now we've got to move away from coal and all the other fossil fuels, but I don't want to move away from the people who did the best they could to produce the energy that we relied on. So whether it's coal country or Indian country or poor urban areas, there is a lot of poverty in America. We have gone backwards. We were moving in the right direction. In the 90s, more people were lifted out of poverty than any other time in recent history because of the terrible economic policies of the Bush administration, presidential blah, blah, blah. Okay, I don't need to read the rest of it to you, but you get the point. In other words, she's saying, look, time marches on. Green energy is becoming more and more of a thing, and eventually it's inevitable. These coal mines are going to go out of business, and these coal miners are going to lose their jobs. And we can't turn our backs on those people, so we have to make sure that we're consistently creating new jobs. That's what she was saying. She wasn't threatening everybody like, I'm going to be president and we're going to put all of you out of business and throw you all out on your asses and you're not going to have jobs anymore. Because that's how the media, which a lot of Republicans will tell you, by the way, is in the tank for Hillary. No, Hillary Clinton does not have a great relationship with the media. And I don't think she ever has. They love her husband. They don't love her. They do love Bernie. And they love Trump in their own weird way. Anyone who tells you different doesn't understand how the media really works. I've said that a million times. There's a reason why Trump is able to finesse and manipulate the media and work the media the way that he does. He's very media savvy. But they don't like Hillary much. And this soundbite taken completely out of context, because it created the impression, the exact opposite impression of what she was trying to convey. She was trying to convey concern for the people who are inevitably going to lose their jobs. Coal mining is eventually, maybe not in our lifetimes, maybe it will, I don't know, but coal mining will eventually go away as an industry. And she's expressing concern for those people, but by extracting that one little soundbite, it makes it sound like the exact opposite, like she can't wait for those people to be unemployed and put all those coal mines out of business and shut them all down. Yeah, West Virginia, Hillary Clinton can't wait to stick it to you, so you better vote for Bernie. Now, to be clear, I haven't seen any examples. They may be out there, and I just haven't seen them. I haven't really looked that hard, but I haven't seen any examples of the Sanders campaign trying to capitalize on that soundbite. I don't even want to I almost called it a gaffe on Hillary's gaffe, but it's really not a gaffe, because you can take almost anything out of context and make it sound wrong. I thought it was when I first heard it. See, I was fooled initially. When I first heard just that quote about her saying, we're going to put all the coal miners out of work and whatnot, I thought, well, here's what I thought. I sort of gave her the benefit of the doubt a little bit because I thought, okay, there's no way she could have possibly meant what that sounded like. But regardless, how politically tone deaf does one have to be to say something like that and not realize how it's going to come across? And then I see the entire text of what she said, and it's like, oh, that's why, because she's the victim of a media that wanted to take her down, and they succeeded in West Virginia. I really believe if it was not for this one thing, she would have won West Virginia. Now, in the end, it doesn't matter. She's going to be the nominee no matter what. Bernie's expected to have a great month, but then, let's see, I think in June you've got California. Hillary's going to win there. Hillary's going to be the nominee. She's got nothing to worry about in that regard. But of course, the longer Bernie stays in, the more damage she takes. But like I was saying, I think a couple weeks ago on the show, back in 2008, Hillary stayed in. Even when it was obvious Obama was going to be the nominee, Hillary stayed in all the way until June. So, which isn't too far off. We're into May now, so. But so anyway, like I said, I don't like Hillary, and none of this matters. Anyway, she's going to be the nominee. Personally, I think she's going to be the next president. But I don't like seeing anyone's words being taken out of context like that. This really bothers me. Let's see. Other things. We're coming up against another break shortly, but on Thursday is that meeting. I was talking about it last night on the show. I couldn't remember if the meeting was Tuesday or Thursday. The meeting is Thursday. Paul Ryan and Donald Trump. They continue to say sort of conciliatory sounding things in the media. So I'm sticking with my prediction. After the meeting, they're going to have not necessarily a joint press conference, but they'll be in front of the cameras, in front of the media, shaking hands, saying nice things about each other. And Paul Ryan ultimately will officially throw his support behind Trump. He's going to fall in line. I still really believe that. Trump, according to Politico, said today he backs Ryan as the convention chairman, so he doesn't want Paul Ryan to step down as chair of the of the convention. And Ryan's been relatively conciliatory, so in terms of saying I'll do whatever Trump wants, he's the nominee. It's his show, basically. So, like I said, I think that's what we're going to see on. I think that's what we're going to see on Thursday. But it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting nonetheless. We got one more break, and we'll be right back. More Unleashed coming up. Stay with me.
The Real Conscious Connection. Om Times Radio. IOM FM. Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. Om Times Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single Om Times endeavor. Host your show with Om Times Radio Network.
My name is Victor Furman. Some call me The Voice. I've always been fascinated with human nature, spirituality, science, and the crossroads at which they meet. Join me Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern on Om Times Radio, and we'll explore these topics and so much more on Destination Unlimited.
Circle of Hearts Radio is a sanctuary on the airwaves. Join me, Grandmother Elia, in the circle on Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern as I share information to both enlighten and nourish your soul.
Om Times Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, Their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. Om Times, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Again, Matt Connarton Unleashed as we cruise into our final segment. And I'll tell you what, every time I think that everybody's just going to fall in line for the Republicans, I see a story like this. This is up on HuffPost. Anti-Donald Trump forces gear up for third-party challenge. This is huge because if they really try to pull this off, come on, you know what the consequence is. The idea isn't to find a way to win the White House if Republicans try to do this and get around Trump. The idea is to just try to save the party establishment, because obviously if the Republicans try to run a third-party candidate in the general election to oppose Trump, Hillary definitely wins, because that's going to split the Republican vote down the middle. And there's no chance of this working, and they must know this. Unless they're just irretrievably stupid or deluded, they have to know this. So, let's understand first what this is really about and what it's not about. It's not about winning the election. They're up to something else. They want to They want to deny. I think what it is probably is they want to make sure they deny Trump the presidency, because they would rather be stuck with Hillary Clinton for 4 years and then have a shot at a more acceptable establishment candidate, a non-Trump, running in 2020 and winning back the White House for the Republicans. Because they know that's what I think is going on here. The ones who are still insisting on plotting against Trump, they're playing the long game. They're already conceded. We've already seen this, by the way, showing up with the attitudes of some of these people. Lindsey Graham on Morning Joe, I played the audio a few weeks ago, basically conceding 2016, saying, yeah, we're probably going to lose big in 2016. Like, he's already thrown in the white towel. So that's what this is really about. It's not about winning for these people. It's about denying Trump the presidency and making sure that they have a shot in 2020. Because if Trump does manage to win and it's a disastrous 4 years for Trump as president, then, they might in 2020 end up handing the White House back over to the Democrats for potentially a long, long time if Trump is the level of a disaster that some people fear he may be as president. So they're playing the long game. And by the way, they may be smart to do that, because I'll tell you this, I say it all the time. I call it the Clinton paradox. I say this all the time. I've never met a Republican who dislikes Hillary Clinton. I've only met Republicans who have an intense, seething, loathing, and hatred for Hillary Clinton, right? I don't know. There's not a Republican who would spit on her if she were on fire. And yet, like I always say, if you're a Republican, if you're going to get stuck with a Democrat in the White House, she's probably the kind of Democrat you want to get stuck with, because she's not a liberal. On foreign policy, she's a neocon. And on economic policy, she's a corporatist. And I don't think she's really that excited about social policy. So what are you worried about? I mean, I know it's hard for Republicans to see past their intense, searing, seething hatred for the woman, but if you really break it down logically, she's going to be the one you want to get stuck with. So it would only make sense if she wins and beats Trump, and then Republicans can have a good shot at 2020. But if it's Trump and he gets in and wrecks the place, then Republicans it's going to be very damaging for the long term. Now, so that's what I think these guys are doing. This is on HuffPost. Let me read this a little bit. I don't know if it mentions any names or if everybody's trying to be as anonymous as possible. But top Republican strategists this past week have stepped up a frantic effort to lay the groundwork for a third-party presidential run, even as elected officials within the party begin to make their peace with Donald Trump. The effort is admittedly a long shot, according to aides directly involved in it. But they insist it's not as impossible as some members of the GOP and the press perceive it to be. In particular, these aides have begun exploring the idea of suing states over their deadlines for ballot access so they can be afforded more time to field a candidate and gather signatures. Good luck with that. Additionally, they are discussing the possibility of launching an entirely new political party rather than latching onto an existing one, since doing so would provide easier passageways for getting on the ballot. Rick Wilson, a longtime Republican operative who has turned his Twitter into a loathe fest of Donald Trump, said, quote, "The ballot deadlines are doable, avoidable, or hackable," unquote. He went on to say, quote, "This is real. There is an actual pathway here. I think we will know in the next 10 days if this can work, and I think the probability is higher than most people think," unquote. I'd love to see it, but it'd be interesting, but I don't think it's very likely. Talk of a third-party run. I mean, I think he's being a little overly optimistic. Talk of a third-party run has been percolating for weeks, if not months. The volume of it directly correlated to the likelihood of a Trump victory, with the idea being that such a bid could deny both Trump and Hillary Clinton the 270 electoral college votes needed to win, a real long shot, and or bring Republican voters disaffected by Trump's candidacy out to the polls, which is more feasible. But it's always been tempered by real-world restrictions. The deadline to appear on the ballot in Texas passed just this Monday, meaning the Lone Star State's 38 electoral votes are likely out of the picture absent a successful lawsuit. In addition, between today and the end of June, at least 3 other states, Illinois, Indiana, and North Carolina, have deadlines accounting for an additional 34 electoral votes, North Carolina's deadline being the soonest. After June, a third-party candidate would face more and more deadlines for appearing on the ballot, a task made more difficult due to the patchwork of complex rules and regulations concerning ballot access across the country. And that's, of course, by design, specifically for situations such as this. Matt Sawyer, a Dallas-based ballot access specialist who was involved in an effort to draft U.S. Marine Corps General James Madison to the race, said, quote, "I don't know whether someone can get on in all 50 states and D.C., but I think it's still possible to get on enough states through petitioning to capture 270 electoral votes. I think it's more than a theoretical possibility," unquote. There's another guy who's very, I admire his optimism. Trump's emergence as the Republican Party's presumptive nominee this past week added to the urgency of the effort. Joel Searby, a Republican strategist who is directly involved in coordinating a third-party run, said that offers to help from fellow Republicans have amplified in recent days. That would be putting it mildly, he said. Donors have pledged money. Operatives have said they'd help with door knocking and signature gathering. And, most intriguingly, Republican lawyers have volunteered free legal assistance. Searby said, quote, "I know for a fact the legal challenges are being discussed and prepared for in both Texas and North Carolina by folks who would want to make sure there is a path," unquote. Interesting. Operatives involved with a prospective third-party run believe there is a valuable precedent for contesting ballot access laws. This is interesting because this harkens back to my dad in 1980. when it was Reagan versus Carter. He voted third party. He voted for the independent John B. Anderson, and that's used as an example in this article. During the 1980 presidential campaign, former Illinois Congressman John B. Anderson had sought the Republican presidential nomination before dropping out and declaring his intention to run as an independent candidate. He had already missed deadlines to file to appear on the ballot in 5 states, but he circulated petitions for signatures there anyway. In July and August of 1980, he successfully sued to get on the ballot in all 5 states. I didn't know about that. Of course, in order to successfully contest ballot access in court, one must have standing to sue. And without a candidate in the race, anti-Trump forces would be hard-pressed to show a judge how a personal legal interest has been invaded by the defendant. Rick Hassan, an elections law expert who teaches at the University of California, Irvine, said, quote, "Each day that passes makes a third-party run harder. Collecting signatures in states takes time and considerable effort, and as state deadlines pass, it becomes necessary to try to sue in court to get deadlines extended. It would not be easy." Indeed, Wilson freely admits that one of the biggest hurdles facing the third-party #NeverTrump movement right now is actually finding a formal leader. And one of the reasons it's proving so difficult is the intense socio-political pressure that such a person would have to confront. Wilson said, oh, this is good. Wilson said, quote, "Trump is such an asshole, and the people who surround him and his troll army and all this other stuff, they are aggressively dickish to all other forms of human life." So that's clearly in some people's headspaces. We are looking at other political figures and business figures to grow, business figures now. That is where we are focusing our efforts, but it's a tough hill to climb, unquote. By the way, a side note, I've heard a lot of criticisms of Trump, and I've criticized him myself quite a bit. But this is the first time I've heard, let me read it again. "Trump is such an asshole, and the people who surround him and his troll army and all this other stuff, they are aggressively dickish to all other forms of human life." That's a great quote. I like this guy, this Wilson guy. There's more to this article if you want to check out the whole thing. It is up on HuffPost. It does go on for a bit, sort of examining the feasibility, the viability, if you will, of a third-party challenge. Oh, boy. This continues to be the most fun, interesting, exciting, and absolutely terrifying election ever. Actually, there's probably people in Louisiana who would challenge that. What year was it? Was it 92 or 96 when David Duke was running for governor in Louisiana? But other than that, this is quite the election. And of course, David Duke